Welcome, Super League fans worldwide. It's that time again. It is Valentine's weekend and I am rocking the pink. We are joined, as usual, by Steve and by Greavesy. And he is back, everyone's favourite vocal talent. Jamie is with us, and we are even hoping to have one or two guest appearances throughout the show. I've had a word with the lads after last time, and Steve has assured me he will not go on and on and on and on some more. We will stick to the points that you want to know about. Let's start. Evening, fellas. How are you all?
Yeah, good,
Good. Yeah, I'm still hurt after being muted last week.
No room to talk to you, Greavesy.
I wanted to kind of focus on specific parts. You know, we've got just 5 games to go now. So instead of, as we quite commonly do, we look at the teams and discuss how they've got on that week and so on and so forth. I want to look at the specifics if I can. But before we do, and Jamie, this is no slight on you at all, but I have to say, what a performance on co-coms this last time round from Craig. He was superb. I don't know if you all agree. I know there were a lot of comments in the chat about he was quite insightful with what he was saying. I know I didn't know if he maybe had a cold or something, but I described him as like an insightful Andy Townsend because of his accent. I thought he was superb, and it's always great to hear different voices when it comes to Super League.
It's because Andy Townsend spent too much time in Norfolk, didn't he? That's why. He had a bit of dialect rub off.
Let's get straight into it then, and let's focus. There's 3 areas now, I think. The divide is quite clearly there. You've got the playoff chasers, you've got the basement battle, and you've got meh.
There's no basement battle, Fifey. I'm not catching anyone, so there's just 2. There's meh and there's playoffs.
You say you're not catching anyone, Jamie, but you're only 3 points behind Astor.
Well, all right, maybe Astor. Yeah, me and Alf will have a little section for ourselves. I'm happy with that.
And I've thrown in here because I've had the league up and you know doing the notes and stuff for the show. I'm saying everyone from Gazelles up is still in contention for the playoffs. Now, Gazelles are 4 points, if I've got this right, 4 points away from Fulchester. By that recommendation, you could argue Northern Burn are only 5 points. No, let me try that again. That's shit maths. 6 points ahead of you. With 5 games to go, do you not think you can make up a 6-point gap in Burn?
Yeah, possibly. But they've been playing well, in fairness to them. So they've been on a very good run. Even when they've lost games, they've played well. 6 points in 5 games, I think it is a lot, if I'm being honest, in a 5-game turnaround. You've got to be open to at least win 4 out of 5. And when you've only won probably 4 all season, to win them in the last 5 seems, a big ask.
You're right. Burn have been on a good run, and credit to Ian for finally getting that star-studded squad to actually do something. But it can't be underplayed, in my opinion. I don't know if you boys agree that the slight turnaround at Dragons of late is there something in particular changed, Jamie? Is one of the 3 heads who's maybe been me and
Doug unblocked Wooder and kind of kicked him out of our WhatsApp group and kind of seen a bit of an upturn then. So yeah, that is basically it.
Is it the flat back 4 that's doing it for you now? You just look that little bit tighter at the back?
Oh, we still seem to concede loads, to be honest. So it's the performances have been a lot better in recent weeks, to be honest. I think Khan has had a few decent games as well. He's still flapping at a few crosses, but compared to what he was start of the season, he's played decent. Not just the defence. Archie back started scoring. I think it's 3 games on a trot he scored. Bowyer again being fantastic, and D'Alessandro and Kaka have also been decent in the last few games. So I think it's just all round kind of. I think the formation has helped players playing in kind of better positions. So,
Please,
yeah. So it's been decent, so something to build on anyway.
Greasy, Jamie's playing it down, and he needs to be careful because managers that play it down, they don't fucking hell get criticised for it. Do you see it as Dragons will finish bottom? Do you see it as a battle between the two, or even a battle between the three still with 5 games to go?
I think the bit that could keep Dragons off the bottom is Asta fucking about with his tactics. He put out a good formation this week against Steve, and he done a job on him, but you don't know what he's going to do next week. Jamie's being consistent with the Dragon side at the moment. Alf has been inconsistent all year, so I think it's down to Jamie will keep. He's been harder to beat than what he has been recently, but it's all down to what Asta does, I think.
We'll come on at the end, as we normally do, to look at the fixtures and make a few predictions. But just to give Jamie that bit of hope going into the next round, obviously he's got a game away at Haggis, which they're one of the teams I put in the meh pot. They've got nothing to play for. So Dragons.
Ooh, that's going to go down well. That's going down well in Scotland.
So Dragons have got, the momentum there. They're playing a team who they're not going to finish bottom. They're not going to make top 6. Then you've got Asta, who equally are playing Churchtown, who as much as I enjoy watching Churchtown and what goes on there, they're also in that meh pot. They're not going to make top 6. They're not going to finish bottom. So the difference is, I don't know if you would agree, I have more faith at the moment that Dragons would put in a result and a performance against a team like that than Asta would, potentially. And then the third part of the equation, Northern Burn, I've got a difficult looking game. They are at home though, obviously playing Hull. So you could quite conceivably see Dragons winning, the other 2 losing, and suddenly you're on equal points and only 3 points behind Burn.
Fucking Haggis is going to be livid when he starts watching this video, that's for sure.
Sorry, pal, you broke up. I didn't hear what you said.
He said he thinks Haggis are going to go finish below him.
I think going back to his fixtures though, they're 5. If you're saying he's got Haggis and then Churchtown, I thought I played Jamie after my next game as well, which is
3 points for me.
I thought I've got Dragons after.
Yeah. With that confident against Steve, they were going to let Woodard pick the team.
Classic surfer.
Let's round off the subject there then. So, Steve, briefly, when you look at the 3 teams that I'm lumping in the bottom, the basement battle pot, do you see that being over already, or is it 1, 2, or all 3 of them still battling for it?
Even if he goes on a little bit of a bad run now, I can't see Ian picking up the wooden spoon. Because I think even if he has a couple of off results, he's had the bit of form behind him now to turn it around and get a result or 2 behind him. I agree with what Jamie said when you're saying maybe tying it up. I mean, a couple of big games that he's won, scored 5, but obviously conceded a couple in other end. But they're looking a lot more dangerous attacking wise. And I was still going to stand by the chat that we had where Alf got cut off right at the end and said it wasn't me, with the greatest respect meant to Alf. I still think, even though he got a really good result against me, but he's done that to me twice this season now. And I still think that after just about going to finish bottom.
I don't want to dwell on the meh pot too much, not out of disrespect to clubs, but there isn't much to discuss with so few games to go. Obviously, Steve, you fall in that bracket. You're the 3rd team. Are you, to sum up, are you realistically still hoping you can finish top 6, or are you taking the more realistic approach that it's all about focus for next year now?
My approach is try and finish as high as I can without thinking I'm going to finish top 6. I certainly don't believe I can do it now. I'm on 25 points, and you need, according to Joe, you need 40 points. 5 games left, so to get 15. They're saying that 38 might do it this year, but even still, no chance. I think if I can pull it together a little bit, I might be able to climb a couple of places and just make it look a little bit more respectable. But to be fair, after the start I had, and then that bit of a run, potential's there to do a little bit, but it's definitely not going to happen top 6. But I'd like to just not get myself a little bit squeaky bummers in, getting dragged a little bit further down towards not being in the first page.
Greavesy, the reaction to how I introduced it, was overly dramatic in my opinion. But can you actually realistically tell me that either Churchtown, Dudley, or Haggis will make the top 6?
I don't think they will.
No.
In honesty. But also, I can't. I only look 2 places down from where I am, so I've never seen that side of the table. I don't know what you're on about. Is it a 7th place?
I wish.
Jamie would be delighted with 7th place now.
I got a bed dreaming of 7th place.
No, in all seriousness, I think it's a bridge too far at the moment. They've got
5 games.
A lot of people have got a lot of big games coming up. Latest with Bostock coming up is going to be really big for the entire playoff scale. Even if it's a draw, it can affect people that are trying to push for it. So it's going to be tight. So if Churchtown get a couple of good results because they're near enough closer, but then they go in fits and starts. They lost a lot at the start, then won 6 in a row, and then it sort of tumbled from there. Where Dudley are the opposite way round. They won a few at the start, lost, and then it's just, I think anything below Gazelle is out of it really, because you're banking on other teams getting draws. Because the way the fixtures are, if a lot of teams get if one team, you can't bank on a team to win because the team that's facing them is going for the playoff as well. So there's a lot of people that are going to be hoping for draws for the 1 point, but then you're only gaining 2 on. So,
Jamie, I'm going to try and take you off the fence that you're normally so comfortably sat on.
No offense for me.
If one of the 3 that I put in the mythical meth pot could put a run together to challenge the top 6, which of the 3 do you believe it would be?
I say Churchtown, just because they have proved. I think, as I say, once they went on 6-game winning run, where I'd say I don't think Dudley or Haggis have probably won 3 on the trot of they. I don't think either have won 3 or more. So I agree. I think it is a bridge too far when you talk about the points, but I would say Churchtown mainly. I think Kieran maybe been there, done it. But I agree. I don't think any have got a chance, but I would have to say Churchtown if there was one who I thought.
I mean, one thing I will add to that is Ian's yet to have his little bit of a run, in my opinion. Churchtown won their 5-6 on bounce. I won 4, drew 1 in 5 games. So Ian's yet to have his little bit of a run, which
I just don't see Haggis have got enough goal scoring power this season in their team to make a realistic, win. You need to be saying really you've got to get, I'd say, minimum of 13 points out of 15 if you're any of those 3 teams. And I don't think Haggis has got the firepower in the squad. I think Brozek next year is going to be a massive player for them. We've all seen what he can do season 2, but I think this season they just haven't got the goals in the team that's needed to get in the playoffs.
If we if we turn our attention now to the relevant clubs as it stands, and those pushing for playoff places, there's a common consensus going around, and as you know, I'm not a believer that you've made it until you get the red box with the PL next to it. But there's this common consensus that the Devils, Boston, and arguably Sloths are already there, and everyone else is battling for 3 places. Is that how you see it, Jamie?
Yeah, I think it'd take a massive collapse. You know, again, you're talking about winning 5. You're probably saying that all of you 3 would have to lose all 5, or at least not win any of your remaining 5. I'd say, not to get in there, which I just don't see it happening. Again, you've all got players, goals throughout the teams. I think it would literally go down as the biggest collapse in Super League history if any of you 3 were to not make the playoffs. But I don't see it happening. It's just, I think, as you say, everyone's playing each other, so not everyone can win all their games. And it's just, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, let's have a quick look at the points. So Gazelle's 29, Bostock 31, and then Fulchester 33, Bulls 34, Leddersford 34, Slough 36, Boston 39, Devils 40. So if you're looking, I mean, obviously we've got Greavesy with us. You are sitting, if I can actually do maths correctly this time, 8 points above the dotted line. Do you feel safe that you're there now?
No. There's only one line I'm looking at, and it's the line in front of me. And I'm concentrating on you. There's no one else I'm concentrating on. I don't care about the lines behind. If I know my name, that's happy. But as long as I know I'm 1 point off the top, I know I'm safe in the playoffs. And that's all I'm looking at.
That's a very fair comment. And picking up what you said, Jamie, and Steve, I'll throw it over to you about teams putting runs together, etc. As the table was going into the last round of fixtures, only Leddersford in the top 6 actually won. You know, all the Devils lost, and they were
given a free game, weren't they?
Did his check play?
Leddersford were given a free
do
game,
anything
weren't they?
until he sees the P by his name, but 7 changes. What?
Yeah,
It's all about that. It's all about
yeah.
that. Is that Leeds money moving up north, moving across?
Let's clear this up right now. Okay, one. Okay. Point 1. I knew I had you next game. Okay, so I was looking at that as being crucial. Point 2. I had Emerson injured, Barry Ferguson 1 yellow away from a suspension, and Penza not scored for about 7 years. Okay, so I took all of these players out to make sure they were ready for the top 2 game the following week. Okay. Point 3, all I keep hearing now for about 20 game weeks is how your squad is so much better than everyone else, Fifey. Your squad is littered with quality compared to everyone else's. So I said, right, fine, prove it. I'm going to take these players out to make sure they're ready, and I'll throw the other players in. And what happens? They get absolutely bollocked.
Would you rather have what I get every week? I don't know how they do it. He's got a shit team. How's his team there? What's going on? He's got a load of average players. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, dear. Steve, there was a lot of criticism for the team I put out. And you know what? When you get beat 3-0, that's fine. I don't accept some of the comments that I was being complacent when all I said is until I've got that box, I'm not in the playoffs. And that's what annoyed me.
Then he makes 7 changes.
Yeah, but for the reasons I've just described. You know, I've used the same.
If you had the P by your name, you'd want the win.
Yeah, but okay, so then I got the win, right? But then I didn't have Emerson, Ferguson, and Penza, Ronaldinho all to play you. The win would have been pointless because then I lose to you. If I get a result, if I win,
you wouldn't, because you'd already have the point advantage.
Yeah, so
you could have gone 4 points clear.
Yeah, so by your maths, as I say, if you had beat Leddersford and lost to Boston, you wouldn't have been in any worse situation now. You've got those players, but if you lose to Boston, you're in second place because you give this game up. So your logic there is not really great. They should be focusing. Listen, at the end of the day, I always feel, I know it's obviously a bit of banter and things, but any manager, especially when you're top of the league and you're winning, you can do whatever you want. If you want to play your goalie up front, you can do what you want. It's your choice. You've earned the right to do that. But your logic there saying you were trying to keep them for the second game, when you're 4 points ahead, if you would won that next game and keep that, whatever Boston did against you, you still would have been top. But now you run the risk of, yeah, you've saved those players, but if Boston beat you, you go second. Whereas if you had beat Leddersford, there's no way you could have been lodged off top spot.
In fairness, he probably thought I was losing at Colchester because I'm the only. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm the only person that's took points off of Macca at the C-suite this season.
Yes, he's got a very good home record. Yeah.
I think he's won every single game he's played at home. I was the first person to take points off him, I believe. So if you think I've got a guaranteed loss, that's a hedged bet to play, knowing he'd be 3 points ahead. But unfortunately, he's only won. I'm coming for you.
I believe much of the criticism isn't necessarily because we lost. I think it's because teams like...
Because you played Kevin Phillips up front.
Yeah,
rat
exactly.
Boy. You don't even belong in the league, fucking little rat boy.
Yeah,
bloody
striker. He wouldn't get in my flipping squad, and look how crap that is.
See, talking about Kevin Phillips, see?
I'll talk to you about Kevin Phillips on a save we did against mainly AI. But to be fair, mate, I've got no room whatsoever.
He was man-marking the keeper. Yeah. He was man-marking the keeper, Fifey.
He certainly wasn't. But I've got no room. I've got no room to join a conversation about a striker like Kevin Phillips, who I genuinely think on the game playing against the AI, I think is extremely good. When I played Emil up front, so please don't come at me asking about.
Bringing it back, I think the main cause for the criticism wasn't that I'd picked this weakened team. I think it was teams like Bostock and Gazelles. They felt, and possibly even the teams like C who were still chasing for it. They felt that giving Gazelles the win, not Gazelles, Leddersford, giving Leddersford the win harmed their chances. But I'm not the person to blame for their failure. It's not my fault they're not in the top six.
Fivey, literally, you should stand there and put two fingers in the air and say, fuck you, I've got my points. That's all. You haven't got to justify yourself to anyone.
Yeah.
You're already in that position. You tried something. But at the end of the day, people can't moan at you for playing. If you think the draft happened and every player that was in the draft should be Super League quality. So you could say, I was given these players to use. It's not my fault that they aren't. They're judged weaker players. So you can go on that bit.
Correct, and that's why I keep pointing out all of the squads were drawn equal. And I can't remember who said it last week, but if people now believe the squads are not equal, that is the fault for the managers who weakened their squads.
That was me that said that, and I'll continue to say that. What I'll say is, if I'd have won my game and been on 28 points, and I'd have seen that game, I still would not have reacted in the way that's. I can totally understand their viewpoint, but for you, 5-8, would that team have happened, right? If, and it's a big if the reserves had been cut off and you'd have had to go with your last 6 games rather than getting past game 21 and we've still got a chance to move between, would we have seen?
Every player that was in that team is and was previous to that. They were all first team players. I have not swapped any reserves. They were all my first team players.
But see, for me, where one of the big players in sort of that little bottom part of it, especially, had your back more than anyone, Macca, in the comments for me. And he said it absolutely brilliantly. And I totally agreed with everything he said in terms of he's got his points, he can do whatever he wants. Again, it's not your problem what the rest of us haven't done or have done, not to a level of you. So for me personally, you did nothing wrong. You were testing your squad out. We've all been guilty of testing a couple of players. You just tested a couple of players at a different time. Why would you change your team wholesale like that when you've been going so well and you want to protect some of your better players against probably your biggest game of the season coming up? So I'm totally in your corner with it, mate.
Can I ask,
Listen,
Fifey, can I ask, do you think you're guaranteed top two? Because I think it was obviously, I know obviously Boston are close, but do you think, because I'm looking at it and thinking, yes, you've got the right to do what you want, but everyone knows that finishing top two is such important. Do you look at it and feel, yeah, I'm guaranteed? Because if you don't, I just feel it was a risky tactic.
No, I don't feel it was I'm guaranteed top two. And I acknowledged at the time it was a risky move to make. But as I pointed out, the main reason was because I knew, regardless of whatever else happened that night, I was going to be within a point of being top. Worst case, I was going to be a point behind top. And it was crucial that I had all of those players to play Boston.
That's fair.
See, I'll let you know now, Fifey, because of my match against Fulchester, my first choice central defence is now suspended for the next game.
Wow. Luckily for me, the top goal scorer in the league is back in the lineup for the next game.
Yeah, but USADA have been watching him. He hasn't scored since USADA have been paying attention.
You've jinxed it now.
He got one
when the drugs boys were watching. I've been watching Icarus. I've been watching it on Netflix to get in to find out how he's been cheating. They're all sorted. I know you got a Russian there helping sort out his piss.
Listen, let's turn attention away and bring it back to the question I was going to ask Steve. If we take the theory that those three sides have got their place, then we've got 5 sides looking for 3 places essentially. And I've written down the run-ins that Ryan showed us. Okay, Ledisford have got Bostock, Vikings, Fulchester, and then finish with Dragons and Sloths. Now, that to me sounds a very, very difficult run-in, especially when you think that he's got his next game is someone trying to take his place in the top 6. Then he plays 3 teams currently in the top 6, and then one of the form sides in bottom of the table, Dragons, sandwiched in the middle.
It's the 3 games that are massive. A bit like mine when I was looking at my fixtures for the next 5 games, which 2 of them are past now. The next 3 games for him are massive. He's going in a really good form. Yen, for me, the one, even though he's dropped a little bit, the dangerous one is Yen's a little bit, because what has he lost all season? 7. I think he's lost 7. But 4 of them were the first 4 games of the season. So after that, he's just been extremely solid. After the flat back 4, he's gone up to his DMs and they've carried on from getting that bit of morale up, getting that bit of form together to carry on performing for him. It's difficult to call for me at present. And this is before, obviously, the games that are played. I can't see there being any change from the 3 that are in there at the minute, personally.
Well, you mentioned Halls there. Let's have a quick look at their remaining fixtures, and then I'll come back to Ledisford and maybe ask Rudy his thoughts on them. But Hall's 5 last game: Northern Burn, Ledisford, Churchtown, Astor, and then they finish with Bostock.
Yeah, it could be well and done before that Bostock game for him, really, couldn't it? So, yeah, on that, he's got a lot easier running than Odgie has at the minute. So that tells me more that he's certainly going to be in there, given current form anyway. Obviously, the game can throw whatever it wants, but it sounds like he's got an easier run in there for me.
Greasy, I don't know if you caught it, but I was going through the other sides chasing the playoff spots, and we were looking at the Ledisford run-in and saying it sounds very, very difficult.
It does, but if you want to be in it, you've got to beat the teams around you.
Yeah.
I think the key match that's going to be there for the top, will be for the top 6. The 2 key matches, actually, I think Ledisford will be key in both of them. And that's Bostock this week and when he plays Halls as well. And that'll be key to the whole thing.
Jamie, you've been around the league like myself a long time now, and when you consider how fancied Gazelles were before a ball had been kicked, if they fail to make the top 6, is that a massive failure?
It's hard to say it's a massive failure because you look at some of the points that the teams have currently got. If you look at the top 3, the point tallies that, you two have got, then obviously Sloths has been outstanding. I think it is a bit of a failure in the fact that Craig, we know what Craig can do with a decent squad, and I think everyone was expecting more. But you just look at the teams and if you look at the teams that are going to finish in the top 6, I don't think any of them can be considered poor teams. So it's not as if he's kind of missed out if he doesn't get in there to someone who's quite poor. Well, yeah, Greavesy, but but no, I don't know. I agree with Steve, and it's not wanting to sit on the fence, but I just look at the 2 sides out of the playoffs now, and I got Gazelles and Bostock, and I look at both of them with 5 games to go and think, have any of these got enough to finish above the teams that are currently in there? So I'm just focusing on them too. And I just don't know if they have. I think Bostock had an amazing start, but haven't been great lately. The goals in their team, Savieri, hasn't been, kind of anywhere near as prolific. And for me, Craig has been far too up and down. There's never been a consistent run of form. I think if any of them, I would go to Bostock over Gazelles to finish in the playoffs, but I'd be surprised if either of them make it.
Okay, well, on that note, and before we hand over to Steve to see what he thinks on those, let's have a little bit more in-depth look at that, James. So Gazelles are 4 points off 6th at the moment. Their running is Sloths, Boston, Devils in the next 3, before finishing with Haggis and Dudley.
Could be over before the last 2, couldn't it?
And if I bring up the Bostock last 5, obviously we know they play Leddersford next, Churchtown, Astor, Devils, Bulls. How many from those 5? And Steve, I'll ask you the same question after I've given Jamie the chance to answer. You're saying Bostock are the only ones out of the 2 that you can realistically see challenging. Out of those 5 I've just said, how many points do you realistically think they can pick up?
I think if they were to get 9, they'd be ecstatic. But even that's, it depends, obviously, when they play yourselves. Are you going to be in a position where, again, you need to rest players for certain things?
Well, our game will be the penultimate game. And I've already assured Scott, after his bitching about my team against Leddersford, regardless of the situation, I will go as full strength as I can for it.
But again, is that being then disrespectful to the other guys who you're saying possibly you haven't been at? Again, it's your choice, but I don't see why you be promising another manager that you do that. You've earned the right to do it. So I think if by promising Scott, have you then been a bit disrespectful to the likes of the Haggis and Stee and Gazelles and that this week by doing what you've done? That's just my opinion on it. I don't see why you owe anyone anything. I know it does get him.
I'd tell, basically, I've said I wouldn't tell anyone that I was resting players for anything whatsoever. I'd give notification. It's not up to them. You've earned the right to do whatever you need to. If the last game of the season, if the table stays the same and you want a rest in Penza, say, for the first round of the playoff, you can do that. If that has an impact for the rest of the playoffs, it's not your fault they haven't got the points. No. You got to stop trying to be a nice guy. You got to be more ruthless. Fuck them.
Oh no, let's not get this wrong. I've gone the other way because I've said regardless of the situation, I'm going full strength for that game.
Yeah, well, to say that, so if you go into the first round of the playoff game, and you've said Ferguson could have a suspension, you got Montero that likes a card. If you have Montero, Ferguson, and Emerson all need a yellow card going in that last game of the playoff, are you going to risk them?
Injuries, etc.
You got injury, as Jamie just said, you got injuries to think of as well. If you got those risks that might come in it might be worth throwing the last game just to let a few players rest. Or do you go full strength, go fuck it, what will happen?
As you said earlier, if they don't make the playoffs, it won't be because of what you've done. It'll be because they haven't got enough points. And that's the crux of it.
So, Steve, throwing the same question over to you then. Let's look at Gazelles first. I'll just read you those 5 again. Sloths, Boston, Devils, Haggis, Dudley. How many points do you think they're getting from those final 5?
I mean, with greatest respect to Rob, I think he's got a big chance of getting a result in his next game, considering last couple of results and where Sloths have played. They're very difficult games. But again, no matter how many times you read games out, you just think if they're playing teams of a ilk, it don't matter which team you're telling me, and they beat the majority of teams that they've got in that run, they're putting themselves in a massive chance of hindering somebody else's season who've still got to play other teams around them. I still think it's a little bit of a bridge too far. And to say that they're on, what you said, on 20, 29?
They're on 29, yeah.
So
I just get 9 points.
So you're really looking for, 3 wins from them 5, which, let's be honest, they're more than capable of doing, especially the last game of the season, which I guarantee won't be 7-1 again. I won't guarantee it might not be 6-1, but you can't see. You can see them picking up 3 wins somewhere along the line there because they've had fits and starts and are due to have another start again. Sort of say. But I just think the way Bedford and especially Hulls are playing at the minute, and I'm playing Macca up next, which could have a massive say on that last position as well. But yeah, I think he's in with a good chance, but I think he needs to go on a real run and probably need to win 4 of them.
Yeah, because I say if he wins 3 of them, that's 9. That would take him 5 points ahead of Macca. So Macca would only have to win kind of 2 of his last 5. So I agree with Steve. I think you need to be looking at around 12 points.
It's a good point you make there, Jamie. I think Fulchester are the only ones I haven't done the final 5 for. So Greavesy, I'll throw it over to you. Dudley, Northern Burn, Ledisford, Churchtown, Astor. Is that arguably the easiest of the run-ins of the teams we've looked at?
No disrespect for the teams that are in the Super League, but I think it is.
Yeah.
So does that put his own pressure then on Macca that realistically, of the 5, he's the one that should be assuring himself of a top 6 spot?
Well, as I said in the halftime preview, the biggest problem Macca has is Macca. I love the man. He overthinks it too much. He's stuffed. But if he gets it, when he gets it right, he gets it right. And that's the only thing that can be said, is he can tinker about too much, he can try and shit house as much as the next man. But when he gets it wrong, he gets it really wrong. But when he gets it right, he picks up the result. I was lucky. I nearly got away with the biggest Super League robbery of the season.
Second.
Other than the first game of the season. But literally, I turned up to a place that had no points given away all year. I put my balaclava on. I scored 2 goals in 25 minutes and bloody tried to brick up the goal. And it didn't work. Unfortunately, I nearly got away with it. I'd still be dancing if it did, but it didn't. And I ran away with a point and still saw that I'm not sitting top. But other than that, yeah, he's got the tools at his disposal. He stopped playing down his team. And the bit that scares me now about Macca's side, if I was playing him, Michael Owen's due a goal.
He's been doing a goal for 5 years.
Michael Owen, I don't think
he's been getting good ratings. He's got a very good average. He's got one of the best average ratings for a striker.
He did for me last year, in fairness, but couldn't hit the cow's ass with a banjo.
Michael Owen makes Zinedine Zidane look like a Super League legend.
See, I want them both at Loco next year just to prove a point.
I'm sure he'd happily pay his taxi fare for Michael Owen to join you.
Let's have a quick look ahead at the next round of games. There's three sort of, I've made them star games as I've written them down here. So I'll go through the others first, and just ask you your thoughts. I'm not sure if Ryan said officially yet, but are we looking next Wednesday for these fixtures to be played, I think? Because, Valentine's got in the way for some people.
Dumb and Dumber on co-coms on Wednesday.
Are they?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Game number one, Jamie, I'll ask you first. Churchtown v Astor.
Home win.
Greavesy?
Yeah, there's no love lost between the managers. They're both trying to go for each other. So it is going to be a home win.
And Steve?
Fence.
Yeah. If I were looking at betting here, I'd back Astor draw no bet. So draw or Astor. I don't see Churchtown winning it. I say that without being open.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to say Churchtown nick it by the odd goal. There won't be much in it. The second game, we'll leave Steve till last for this one. So Greasy, you can go first. Dudley v Fulchester.
Fulchester shithouse 1-0.
Jamie.
Home win.
Really?
Yeah.
That would throw a cat amongst the playoff pigeons, so to speak.
Yeah, home win.
I'm going to say Fulchester win 3-1. What's your thoughts going into it, Steve?
To be fair, I've had a lot of jiving for tinkering, but if you look at what I've done tinkering, apart from one bad game which were against Macker, the majority of the tinkering has been between a couple of set formations, so it's not really been different formation every single time. It's been what I played first out and then a bit of what I've been playing, just changing up between them. I think Mac has played probably more formations than I have this year, if I'm honest, in terms of differentials of where he's playing players. I am trying something different this week though. So again,
he's trying to win this week.
I've only tried to win the game once. So.
Carry on.
I think I've hopefully. I think I've got a little bit something that might put a bit of fight into it, and I've always got to back myself to get results. So.
I'm going to stick with you, Steve, for the next game. Haggis v Dragons.
Only one winner, surely.
Yeah. You can't be on fence.
You getting splinters from our fence, mate?
It's that far up, I don't think I'll ever get off it. I'm gonna go with I can't see it not being another high scoring game. 3-2, which way? Dragon.
3-2 Dragons.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about, this guy.
Archie backs him 1-0 win for Dragons.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm afraid I am going to go the other way, Jamie, and I'm going to say Haggis win 2-1. What are you thinking going into it?
Away win. Confident.
Have you got anything special lined up for it?
No, Wooder's locked in the... Wooder was let out of the cupboard now to go on co-coms, but just let Duggan make the decisions and keep Wooder away and we'll be all right.
Any forward arrows on Ibrahim Saeed?
He's playing up front. He can't get any further forward.
The fourth game, Steve, I'll let you go first on this one as well. Northern Burn v Halls. Can you see a cat amongst the pigeons of that one as well, or should it be fairly routine to the end?
No, I can do it. I think he is due a bad result against when he's been going, and that's no disrespect to any really consistent. And yeah, I just think at home, Ian's just looked really strong at home in these home games that he's been getting good results in. So 2-1 Burn.
Jamie?
Yeah, same. Burn win.
Greasy?
It's all down to one player. If Gattuso's playing for Burn, Bulls will win 1.
I'm going to say this has arguably been the toughest one to work out, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 Bulls win for this one, I think. Now, a couple of the star games, if you want to go into a bit more detail on these, then by all means. Jamie, I'll come to you first for Gazelles v Sloth. Huge implications in the top 6.
That is a massive game. I think it's something Gazelles have to win. I'll go for home win this one again. I think Sloths have been great recently. I think we should have beat them on Wednesday. So yeah, I can go for home win.
What are you thinking, Steve? Is it last chance saloon for Gazelles?
I think in a sense, as close as they may seem to it. But yeah, like I say, Sloths have just been a little bit off, haven't they? Gazelles at home, depending on his formation. Again, I think he's probably suffered a bit from when he's got a couple of good results, and whereas I got a draw and didn't think, I think he's been a bit too reactive to a bad result when he's been in a good run. I mean, I know I'm no good person to talk. I'm going to back a Gazelles win here.
Greavesy, I presume like me, you're hoping that Gazelles can get something out of it.
I'm not hoping, I know they are. They're going to beat them dirty Spartak bastards.
This is the only one I think that I'm going to opt for a draw, and I'm going to say 1-1.
Can I have my fence back, please?
Penultimate game. Which way should we go? Only because we're on, I'll save ours till last. So Leadersford Bostock, arguably game of the night, for those not involved in the top 2 clash anyway. Greasy, come to you first. It's massive, isn't it, really?
It is. Montella and are on
I'll have to come back to you, pal. We can't hear anything you're saying at the minute. I think your connection is dropping. Jamie, while we're Greasy out, what's your thoughts on it?
I think it is the game of the night with the implications to the Scot. I know obviously you two are playing in the top 2, but I think you're fairly certain, and the implications this can have for so many teams around them is definitely game of the night. I'd have to go for Leadersford. You know, I got to be honest, even if you had played a full strength side going away to Leadersford, you know, it was been a really tough game, the run they've been on. And I would have to go for home win.
Steve, are you in agreement there? Is it going to be successive, huge home wins for Leadersford?
Certainly not huge. Scott don't concede a whole lot of goals. They're generally tight losses, or generally a lot of time tight wins when he wins. So do I think last time out that he played the occasion of playing here and just went to give him a spanking? I don't know, and if that's not true, I didn't mean no disrespect to Scott. But I just think the form they're in and the way they've ploughed into playoffs from where they are, or where they were, sorry, I struggle to see past the Leadersford win. Yeah.
Greasy, I think your connection's sorted now. Go back to what you said about Montella.
Yeah, if there's a time of the year you want Montella to start firing, it's now. If you'd want him to score 10 goals at the start of the year and go on a drought, you don't. He struggled with him at the start, and now he's come in and he can't stop scoring. It's a frightening time face that led front line. 4 goals in 4 games, 2 strikers. You can't beat that. They got an assist last week.
He's not actually back.
Are you confident of a Leadersford win as well then?
What was that, Fifey?
So I was just saying, are you therefore saying you're confident of a Leadersford win as well?
Yeah, I think Leathersford will score 3 at least.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we're going to go for a full house, and I'm going to say Leathersford actually, put a real statement down and win 4-1. The final game, Steve, if you want to go first, Steve's first place Devils, who would have thought that at the start of the season, versus second place Boston, who would have thought that at the start of the season, in a game that I think the winner gets the first PL spot sorted there and then.
Oh, I certainly don't see it being high scoring either way. Because you've got a very solid defensive line and you're at home, and 2, because he's going to come and try and shit out a 1-0 win. So there's not going to be a lot of goals in it. I think because I'm really into superstition with the game, really badly, as people will find when I'm on the stream with him, but I don't like mentioning a player's name, I don't like clicking players' names. I think the way and the fact that Greaves is gone, Emil Penza and gone trying to bloody get him in trouble with authorities and everywhere. I'm going to go for a 1-0. I apologise for this video. 1-0 win Swindon with Penza to score.
That's what fucking happened last time.
Eh?
That's what fucking happened last time.
Jamie, as a neutral in this fixture,
You are, sorry.
I was going to say, as a neutral in this fixture, I know it's not great for you in your personal position, but when you see these sorts of games, is this what got you involved in the Super League?
Yes, yeah. Obviously, yeah. If everyone wants to be in there, you can just look at Steve this week. He's a broken man after losing and being out of the playoffs. He's his world's collapsed. Like, just at the end of the day, it's the only good thing about being shit and being bottom to the bottom. You can get used to it early on. So I'm thankful for that. Anyway,
You don't have to tell me.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, mate. I'm feeling very, very dizzy this year. I'm not sure what to do.
I don't know how you coping. Well, you started Kevin Phillips. It's no wonder you don't know what to do.
I'm trying to find out where the random tactics generator's gone. It's been missing all season.
Yeah, so going back to this one, I think I'm going to go for a away win.
Thanks.
That's all right. You selected Haggis to beat me, you bastard.
Seriously, I mean, I think I've been pretty clear. I'm going as full strength as I possibly can for this one. If I remember our first game at your place, I was very lucky to get a draw, if I remember correctly. I think you were very good that day and were very unlucky. But I believe, in a similar way to Steve about being superstitious, I have various sort of things I believe in. And although I didn't get the result I wanted against Leathersford, I do think that there's something built in where players react, and the fact that the likes of Mpenza got dropped for a game, I do think he's going to come back and score some goals. So this might be against my character, but I'm going to say we're going to win. What are you thinking going into Queensland?
Well, with my suspensions aside, I always play the strong team I can. I still want to prove every single fucking game I play. The amount of people wrote my team at the start has been big to all of them.
For anyone who's trying to listen to this isn't that Greasy's connection's terrible. This is me really not being interested in what he has to say, so I'm just buzzing over everything he's talking about.
I just thought it was all a swearing when he's saying Fifey's fucking shit team can fucking have it. I'm going to shove 5 fucking goals. I thought he was swearing and he was just beeping it out. That 5 can fuck off. I'm going to turn his place over.
I've got suspensions and...
Oh, he's getting his excuses in, Jamie. He's getting his excuses in.
Oh, I know. Look at him.
Players
Oh, there he goes. Effing off again. 5 in his fucking... Impenza in his fucking dodgy fucking passport can go and fuck off.
Literally, Crazy, we're not even joking. Because of the static, we're literally hearing typing. Bastard. Fucking.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, good.
It seems to have stopped. Go, Greasy, go.
Away win. What was that? Away fucking win.
That's all I say.
Away fucking win.
You'll see. You hear it back, Greaves. Oh my God.
Oh,
As
brilliant.
always, it's been an absolute pleasure spending the evening with you. With the exception of you, Greaves, you can go fuck off. I wish the other two good luck with your games this, whenever Ryan decides we can play them.
Before we quickly finish, can I ask one quick question? Everybody saw the post in the no spam group. Has Crespo really been that bad when he's averaging above 7? Really?
Yeah.
Bollocks.
Yes.
What I will say is, within 10 minutes, I know we're not supposed to talk transfers, etc. Within 10 minutes of that getting posted, I had an inquiry for him.
All right. Don't tell people I asked about him, for God's sake.
I'll never self-manage you down, River. Within 10 minutes.
No, don't tell Ryan that. He'd be blocking everything.
Listen, before Steve gets us in trouble because he's already 10 Magnus deep, let's sign it off. And yeah, listen, again, absolute pleasure having the three of you on for the evening, and look forward to the next round of Super League fixtures.
Yep, nice one, lads. I'll speak to you later.
Yeah.
Lads. Ta-ra.
Cheers, guys.